us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Ola, and I'm a psychology major. This is my last semester at NYIT. So far, I've been editor-in-chief for the Manhattan Globe, and I've been a lab supervisor at the Human Factors and Neuroscience lab for Dr. Alexander.
And then I kind of want to know how you ended up at NYIT. So I
Okay.
think that kind of starts off with any extracurriculars you did in high school or anything you did that led you to coming here.
I didn't do any extracurriculars in high school, actually. I did nothing, to be honest. I was just kind of there to have a good time. So I don't know. I didn't really think about college before, because I didn't get college training because I moved a bunch, so I never thought about it.
Yeah.
So then when applications time came, I just kind of looked around and I was like, this looks good.
So you just
Yeah.
wanted to be in the city?
Well, I was supposed to go to Massachusetts. I was going to, I completely forgot the name of the university, but I was supposed to go to an interior design tech school in Massachusetts, but then I changed my mind last minute and then I ended up being in here.
Is there a reason why you changed your mind?
It was my dad didn't want me to be super far.
Okay.
It's kind of cute, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess let's dig a little deeper into you moving around so much. Did that affect you in any way socially? I assume that it was probably hard to continue making friends and then keeping in touch with friends.
I feel like moving was really good for me because I learned how to be really social and just kind of learn how to bond with people really easily. And I'm really lucky because I'm still friends with my really good friends from back home, like Dubai even, and Egypt. So I feel like I'm not having a super hard time in terms of moving around a lot. Maybe it makes me a little restless, but otherwise I kind of just made me really like change a lot.
Makes sense. Do you have any particular memories that stand out when you look back on those areas?
I think my favorite memory is my last day that I spent in Dubai. My friends at the time, I think we were probably in 6th grade, we used to go out and they threw me a little surprise party to celebrate me leaving. I thought it was really cute. And I'm still friends with some of them, which is really cool. Yeah.
You came here being an interior design student.
Yeah.
Why did you choose interior design?
I really like art, and I think architecture is super cool, and interior design and decor. It's not decor technically, but I like art and I like the math that is kind of involved with it, which I find super fun. So it seemed like the right path of time because I really like being creative.
And then, in your freshman year, you dormed, right?
Yeah.
That in itself is already a big social change for a lot of people, different lifestyle than most back at home. But for you, for someone who moved around so much, I assume it was probably a little bit different of a feeling than other people.
Yeah.
How did you adjust? Were there any issues? Was it easy?
I feel like I didn't have a super hard time moving, into the dorms at all. And I kind of like it because I was forced to interact with a lot more people than I would if I was at my house. It's maybe just difficult to mold with, because I had a roommate, so it's difficult to mold with another person because you do have to figure out a sort of balance with how you interact. But I don't know, I was super lucky. By my second semester, or third, I moved in with my best friend, so it was really cool.
I think we can skip over the interior design. I feel like it wasn't that much of a...
Yeah, I like it. I just didn't want to
but
stay.
what led you to wanting to switch?
Well, when I was debating what I was going to major in, it was either going to be psychology or interior design. And my dad kind of wanted me to be in interior design, so that's why I did it. So when I felt like I was a little unhappy, I was like, obviously I'm going to do psychology then. It just kind of felt like the obvious answer.
Okay.
Yep.
You kind of answered my question. My next question was going to ask, did you, how do you particularly resonate with the field? Is there any personal context you have?
So, because I've moved around a bunch and I've lived in multiple continents and I've experienced how people cross-culturally perceive psychology, I feel like I have a really colorful background on it in general, and I think it's really important to sort of raise awareness for that field in cultures outside of the West, because the West has its flaws, but at least it has the fundamental sort of acknowledgement of mental health. But I think a lot of other cultures shy away from acknowledging mental health or anything that sort of alludes to weakness in the mind. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's overlooked a lot, and I want to help other people feel not overlooked and feel like they're not crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you balance your different upbringings within, what you learn? Obviously, you said that Western is the fundamentals, but I'm assuming that even though they ignore it or oversee it, there's still parts of it that you bring into what you learn.
Yeah. I don't really think I have to balance it. I feel like my brain just does it for me because it's normal and natural for different cultures to have different social norms and perspectives on things as a whole. So I feel like if anything, it helps me understand like everyone's side, if that makes sense, when I have actual factual knowledge. Like I understand how certain mental issues come about. I understand how people just function a little bit better, so I can apply that knowledge in different contexts, which I feel like is the whole point of being in this field, is being able to have the empathy and compassion and sort of mental gymnastic ability to understand people in different contexts and in different sort of identities.
And I think the question everybody has for a psych major, how do you use what you learn in your daily life with your friends, your family, people you know?
I'm a lot more aware of how people project their issues onto others, and I'm a lot more aware of my defense mechanisms. They teach you, I think, like the first thing is like the Freudian defense mechanisms, which is like really basic, but it's kind of applicable. I feel like a lot of people project and deny or avoid. I feel like avoidance is a really big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think psych is a major that obviously directly affects people in a very prominent way in their life.
Yeah.
It's not like we can escape from our mental thoughts. So how do you go about, or what is your thought process when thinking about directly affecting people?
You mean like my approach with that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, because I actually want to go into mental health,
Yeah.
my approach is always to sort of, and also just like in general with people, I feel like is just to try and lead with compassion. I feel like if there's compassion and honesty, most of the times you can get through to a person. Whether it's in a clinical setting or in a regular social setting, you can always just lead with those two things, and I feel like the rest comes later.
Okay. And there's like one or two things that you wish people knew generally more about.
Maybe not all psych majors are analyzing you, and they don't care.
Okay.
I feel like that's my main one, because everyone's always like, oh, like, are you analyzing me right now? And I'm like, no, I didn't even think of that.
So you're able to like switch off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I only analyze someone if I'm like, what is wrong with you? Then I care. Otherwise, I don't care. It's true. No. Yeah, okay, that's 1, 2. I don't know. Correlation does not equal causation.
Your research is in radiology.
Yeah.
Very different than what you're saying you want to get into.
Yeah.
So how did you choose radiology? How did you get into it?
Well, my major's kind of small. It's getting a little bit bigger now, luckily, but my major's kind of small, so we only have 2 main faculties that have research, and I didn't want to do the first one, and then at the time Dr. Alexander was new, I believe, so him and I just kind of connected, and I ended up doing research with him, which ended up being really cool because I've gotten to do a lot of really cool stuff from being there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure what you do, but it seems like it's a more STEM-oriented part of psych,
Yes.
as opposed to you, which seems you want to do something more in like humanities,
Yeah.
direct approach. So how do you balance your STEM knowledge with what you want to do and what you want to learn?
Okay, I think that I just started. Okay. I think that I'm naturally very leaning towards humanities in general. I like the arts and the mental health and the reading and the poetry and stuff. So if anything, for me, being in more medical stuff is really good for me and my brain to sort of make me more malleable in terms of like learning and how to approach things, because it's a field that I wasn't very familiar with at all. I'm not a medical student, I don't know anything, but because of everything I've had to do in terms of conferences and presenting it and having to actually understand it so I can speak to other professionals about it, it's helped me sort of build that aspect in my head up in terms of STEM and stuff.
And I think something that doesn't get mentioned a lot, which you kind of just touched on in college, is how much things like conferences, networking affects your take on the field.
Yeah.
I feel like you probably do a lot of networking-based events.
Yeah.
How has that affected how you look at what you do?
It's honestly made me like it a lot more. It's given me, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's given me a boost in my confidence in a way, because I've gone to a few conferences now and I've met like fellow students, graduate students, and actual medical professionals, and it's kind of made me feel like, okay, you can always get better at things. Like, I meet people who are much younger than me and they're way smarter than me. Sometimes I meet people who are older than me, but they don't have knowledge in the things I have knowledge in. And it's kind of helped me have a grounded sense of confidence in how I present myself. And overall, I think just conferences and like these sort of events are really good for people, because you are sort of forced to learn more about what you're talking about, and you have to understand it so you can learn how to explain it.
You seems like a very creative person, and
Thanks.
you like a lot of creative stuff, like you said, interior design, art, all that. That's still probably a big part of who you are. How do you bring that part of who you are into psychology?
Well, I do it through my extracurriculars for sure. Like the Manhattan Globe is like a really big part of where I try to exert my creative like thoughts and stuff. Through psychology specifically, I think it's just in terms of like research design stuff, I try to put my creativity in there. Like, we're working on a study right now and I'm like very excited because it's entirely based on my work and my fellow teammates, and it's like entirely designed by us, which is cool because it's like a different way to exercise creativity and thoughts.
And then I guess my final question on psychology is, well, I guess you don't necessarily see yourself doing radiology in the future. So what do you see yourself doing in the future?
I see myself going back to school because I realized I really like school, ironically, and probably getting a PsyD so that I can be a clinical practitioner, be a therapist, and probably focus in relationship dynamics. Yeah, and young adults.
There you go. You're the editor-in-chief. How did you get into it?
I didn't know it was a club. I took it as a class, and then I took it, and I really liked it, and I sort of just stuck around, to be honest.
Is there a story on how you moved up to your position?
I don't think it's really much of a story. I think I just really bonded with the staff at the time, and I like when I can sort of bounce ideas off of a person. I really like when people can like meet up and talk about things and make things better, and they were like that, and we sort of connected on that, and they luckily felt like I was good enough for them to essentially give me their position when they move on, so yeah.
I'm assuming you were a writer before you're editor-in-chief. What does writing mean to you, and what did being on the newspaper as a writer kind of do for you?
Well, I wanted to be a writer when I was younger. I was hoping to become like a little poet or write short stories or something. So for me, it's sort of a way to exercise that small little hope I had when I was a kid. And I think writing is just like any sort of exercising your freedom in a way. Because you're like, whatever free thought you had, that is what writing is. It's just a way to pour out whatever is inside in like a nice, really cute way. Yeah.
And before the camera's rolling, you said that you don't feel like you're a part of the news. You kind of just say the yes.
Yeah. Sure.
So but I feel like you still are kind of the voice that gives people a platform to speak. So how do you feel about having the ability to give people the platform?
I think it's really cool. I really like watching people blossom, and I feel like for the most part, a lot of the people that participate are people that are into it, but they're kind of scared of either like external opinions or how they're going to perceive it, how they're going to be perceived, etc. So I really like the fact that I get to not motivate people, because I think that's an internal thing, but sort of implicitly guide them into doing it. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of ideas, they're just very scared of how they're going to come off. Yeah.
Have you had any favorites? Any favorite writers or favorite pieces?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, and then...
no. It's not Jaden. Put that explicitly in the camera.
Just Nicole Pereira.
Sorry.
you mentioned that you were taking a gap year. Why did you choose to take the gap year?
I've kind of just been working a bunch for the past 2 years in terms of my research stuff, my school projects, working outside, like having a job, managing my personal life, all of that, and I'm very grateful for everything that I've like done and the stuff I've achieved. But I kind of do want to take a break just to sort of step away a little bit from school and focus on my personal interests and hobbies, and then go back to school for the next like 8 years of my life. So.
I know a gap year is supposed to be kind of like a break, so I guess it's a counterintuitive question, but do you have any personal goals you want to set during the gap year?
I do. I don't know how to sit down and like not do something.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to join like a separate research lab so I can engage in more research in my personal interests, and I'm planning on getting some sort of psychology. I'm basically just planning on like working but without being in school. Like I'm still going to be connected to my field, but I'm not going to actually be in school yet.
So you're doing it for fun, for the love of it,
Yeah.
instead of the pressure of. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know you said you mentioned going back to school after.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other plans you have for after the gap year?
Get a better apartment. Make enough money to move into like a really nice apartment.
Yeah.
That's my main goal.
Okay. And then you're graduating.
Yeah.
Your college, your undergrad is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what are your most notable moments or things you're gonna take away from your experience in school?
It's like really, really corny, but I guess the people. I've met a lot of really, really nice and cool people, and even people that I no longer talk to, or I guess I'm affiliated with. But I met a lot of really cool people, and I met a lot of really good friends and mentors even, and I'm really grateful for that. I feel like 90% of the goodness that I've experienced in college, which luckily is a lot, was attributed to the people I know.
And this is my final question.
Ooh.
Senior year you, high school senior year you, what would you tell her if you could talk to her right now?
It gets better, and your hair will look better.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate all your answers, and we hope for the best for you.
Thank you. Same to you.